the Niners released Josh Rosen. I kind of see it as good news. I don't know if you saw his post-game press conference. He looked depressed. They were like, so what have you gotten out of being here? And he was like, oh, it's a great organization. I've really liked being here. It's really where I want to be. It's like, and he did mention, it's kind of hard because I only get about 2 throws a day, which, if I were his agent, I would have felt like, that's a bad place for you. I kind of feel like the Niners wasted their own time and his time. I don't really understand what they accomplished and why he was there in the first place. What do you think of this news?
Okay, there are a few themes here. One, you feel sorry for Rosen because he's UCLA and he's a Landsman, and
yes,
you feel his hurt. You feel his hurt.
And I kind of been thinking about him all offseason. I invested myself in his story. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, finally, it's the risk he takes by trying to get in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the fourth team that said, you know what, thanks.
Yeah, so. I don't have that much empathy for him. Sad for him. It's how it goes.
Yeah.
What's peculiar is Kyle, who I don't think always shows the best leadership, could have known about him at the end of last season and played him in the final 2 games, not wasted anybody's time in training camp, including Rosen's time.
Right.
Yeah. So
Sudfeld could have got 40 more throws. Lance could have got more throws. All this.
Yeah. So I put it again. So many things Kyle Shanahan does where I say, I don't get the reasoning on that. Would he plan ahead? Because he should have had Sudfeld more in the mix because he's going to be the 3rd quarterback, not wasted anybody's time. He could have handled that before the season, the preseason even started. But I do want to say one thing. It's pretty clear to me that there are 3 quarterbacks on the team. Jimmy, Trey Lance, and Sudfeld. Sudfeld will be on the practice squad. Mm-hmm. To me, I think this bolsters my argument a little more that they'll start with Jimmy. Trey Lance, I believe, will take over by the bye week. You say by the second half of the first game. And, I can't even argue with that. It's possible.
Just based on how bad he's been in camp. Sorry.
Yeah. And that other one will be on the practice squad. So that's how I see that.
Yeah.
Are there any facets of this that I'm missing?
I just think it's so obvious that the 49ers never really cared or were invested in Rosen. I think they cared more and were more invested in Sudfeld. Yeah. So what were we doing here? I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter in the scheme of things, and maybe they just don't care. But it just seemed like they should have cut him months ago.
Iggy, I'd like to say one other thing. I'd like to, because remember, I've only seen Trey Lance play the one time.
Yeah.
And that was in the first exhibition game. I don't know how the next 2 games are going to go. But Iggy, I don't understand getting your quarterback hit that many times. That's another thing. I question Kyle Shanahan's judgment. I don't question his ability, but I question his judgment. Now, you have this guy who really is important to you. You traded up. He was the 3rd person taken in the draft. This is a big deal, and he's obviously your quarterback of the future. So you get him sacked 4 times? I mean, what? Now, people on my
concussion.
Yes, could have got worse.
Yeah.
People on my Twitter, there was one theme, and I understand fans want to agree with the coach.
Mm-hmm.
They'd say, essentially it was his baptism of fire. It wasn't practice. You got to learn and all that. I don't think you learn on your back.
Nope.
I don't think you learn on your tush. I don't think there's any good part of that.
What did he learn in that game? What it feels like to get sacked?
Yeah.
And what did the Niners learn? That he needs pass protection? That was very informative.
Yeah. So I mean, unless he was going to run them out, on RPOs or whatever he was going to do, I don't understand the thinking there. So here we are in our first subject today, and I'm saying I don't understand Kyle Shanahan's thinking about Rosen or about how he handled this valuable commodity in the first game.
I don't understand his thinking about Rosen at all. As far as Lance, I think the best I can guess is that Kyle's thinking, look, when the regular season comes, I'm going to unleash this offense that the league hasn't seen, and there's going to be a surprise, and that's the time. Plus, he doesn't need to practice running that much. He's great at it. Yeah. Fair. He needs to practice pocket passing because it's his weakness, and it takes experience and reps. Fair. After the second sack, adjust. Don't get him hurt in a preseason game.
Yeah.
because that second team offensive line was so bad, it wasn't affording him the opportunity to learn how to be a pocket passer. He was
Right.
already in survival mode. Get him the hell out of there.
I'm with you. It was self-defeating.
Self-defeating.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Kyle again in a minute. 501 Club Kenny says, do you think Lance throws too hard? Has anyone asked him or Shanahan about that? Still better than Jimmy from my eyes. I mean, I like the ability to throw that hard. It's good, but he needs to also be able to take some off. Russell Wilson can. Patrick Mahomes can. They can throw a very catchable, feathery pass when necessary.
But the question is, Iggy, have you asked Shanahan about it?
No. We'll ask. I'll ask him next time. When we're
Yeah.
down in Costa Mesa, I'll ask him about it. Good question. Hold on. I don't know why I put that back up. All right. One more. Why was it obvious that the Niners preferred Sudfeld over Rosen? Seemed like both players were getting the same reps in practice, so what stood out? Well, Sudfeld got about 15, 20 more throws, and it just seemed like, I don't know, they gave Sudfeld $250,000 guaranteed. It just seemed like they had Rosen, and then they brought in Lance and Sudfeld, who they liked, and they just, instead of getting rid of Rosen, they're like, well, you can hang around. We don't like you, but you can stay. I don't know. That's the way I saw it.